Tropic Lightning Diving Team Tutorial Series, Episode 5, Back Jumps. The end goal, full lift and press 3-meter springboard back jump with primes. Now let's take a look at a back jump straight. First I prime, then I lift my arms up while I stay on my line, drop, circle, push, and jump. Now let's slow it down a bit. First we see me priming, going up and down, staying on my same vertical line as I do it. The only thing moving really is my ankles, and we don't even see my ankles moving very much here. They could be moving a bit more. Now we're slowing it down to see the lifting action. At the beginning of the lift, we load the board a little bit. You see the board go down. At the top of the lift, you see we've unloaded the board. Right there you can see that the board is parallel to the water. Again, we've unloaded the board. And I'm in my vertical line for my drop down. There's my drop down. I still haven't loaded the board yet. I'm getting ready to load the board right now after the squat. As the arms come through and the legs push down to straight, I have now loaded the board. Here I should be fully straight with my arms over my head, my knees locked out. I'm not quite in that position, but as I come off the board, you can see that I do get all the way to the straight position. I'm slightly back with my weight there. I should be a little bit more in front, then I might be able to go up a bit higher on this jump, and my toes would look a little more pointed as I come off the board. Step-by-step construction of the back jump, from side of the pool skills and drills to priming full lift and press back jump on springboard. Pushing back jumps. We start with a simple series of back jumps with the arms over the head and no arm circling action, just up, bend, push. We'll see it from various heights. Low platform, low springboard, high springboard. The key to note in all of these is the body line maintains its shape all the way through. You go hollow up on the toes, hollow down in the bend, hollow back as you push and up into the air, into the water. That never changes all the way through this. The whole key is to maintain your alignment and make all of the actions happen from your ankles, your legs, and your toes. Basic pressing back jumps. Next, we move on to basic pressing jumps with an arm circle. From the hard surfaces, you see arms stay at the sides and drop in circle after you come up on your toes. And on the springboard, you'll see the arms overhead. The reason for the difference here is with the springboard, there's more time for the arms to make a full, complete circling action, whereas on the hard surfaces, there's not a lot of time. That's why you have the shorter arm circle when you're on the platform and the longer arm circle when you're on the springboard. Otherwise, the action is pretty much the same as we saw before. Up, drop, circle, push. Springboard only. Half lift and press back jumps. Now we move on to the half lift and press. The arms are out to the sides, you lift up, drop, circle, and jump. This is only done on the back takeoffs, not the front takeoffs. In the front takeoffs, you start with the arms over the head and go up on the toes and then drop to your circle because that's how you come out of your hurdle. But here, in the backs, you're going to lift your arms up from your starting position to then drop down into your circle, reach, and push, as we see here. Springboard only, full lift and press, no priming, back jumps. Here we see a full lift and press, no priming back jump. You notice the ankles don't move up and down. I just go from a standing still position to my lift, my drop, circle, and reach into the jump. Here we're slowing it down. You can see I'm not moving my ankles. They're just totally staying still. My arms start to go up. I go up on my toes. I drop, circle, reach, and push. Back to the end goal, full lift and press, priming, back jump from the springboard. Let's revisit the full lift and press with primes back jump on springboard. You can see a smooth action all the way through, controlled flight, and nice vertical entry. Platform full lift and press back jump. Now we're looking at a platform full lift and press, creatively done from a rock into the ocean. If we slow it down, you'll see there's not so much priming. I move my arms a little bit in front first as a preparatory motion to lift them up a little bit as I come up on my toes. So the arms will go in front here. They come back and then go up to the sides. And as I go up to the sides, I come up on my toes. Then I drop to my squat, circle the arms through over the head, and extend the legs to straight. Platform mechanics are much simpler than springboard mechanics, as we can see here. If you look at any of the elite divers, you'll notice they don't do many primes, they don't do a lot of elaborate arm movements. It's a very simple action. Springboard, full lift and press priming back jumps, variations in starting positions of arms. Divers have a choice where to start with their arms when they're doing back jumps. Here we see an overhead start. Priming, pressing, and jumping. In this variation, the diver starts with the arms over the head, and therefore the board is already loaded to a certain degree. The diver will not feel the benefit of lifting the arms up and feeling themselves load the board, but they will feel the load from the priming, the loading and the unloading when they prime. So as they come up on the toes and drop, you'll see them lift and go down, and the board goes up and down. So they're getting some loading there. After they do the requisite number of primes, they will then finish unloading the board with a final stretch up tall before dropping their knees, starting their squat, circling their arms through, getting the arms over, then extending the legs straight, hopefully before the board starts to come back up, and then maintaining their nice line through the flight of the jump and to their vertical entry as they go through the water. This is probably the most common variation that we see. Arms out to the sides while you prime, and then lift the arms up, drop, circle, and push. This is definitely the most popular style of starting for back takeoffs on springboard that I've noticed over my diving career. See, the arms are out to the sides. They're going to stay out to the sides. When I start priming, you'll notice the arms are not moving. They're not going up and down. They just stay still. The sole focus is on the ankles and the heels, raising up and getting a motion and a rhythm with the board. After the primes are finished, on the final loading of the board, the arms start to come up over the head, unload the board, then you drop to your squat, circle, reach, and extend. And you can see I'm extending a lot better earlier here than I did in my original model that I had at the beginning of the video. Here's a variation on the back press that is often, here in the United States at least, called the European style. So the arms go out in front before they come up. It's kind of like the platform style that we saw a little bit earlier in the video. This variation on the starting position and starting arm movement for a back press is one I first saw in 1986 at the US-Soviet Union dual meet that happened at USC in Southern California. The athlete was a young woman named Marina Babkova. She later competed in the 1988 Olympics and did pretty well. Didn't medal, but she did pretty well. In any event, I really liked when I saw the arms move forward, how it seemed to help keep the body balanced over the balls of the feet. So I ended up actually adopting this style for a while myself before returning to my more traditional one. This action is also a really popular one amongst synchro divers who don't train together very often, because once you remove the primes, that arm movement in front is a good cue for helping people coordinate their timing of their lift and press for the rest of their back actions. Back jumps tuck and pike. So far we've seen straight jumps, but we also do back jumps in other positions. Here's the back jump tuck from the springboard with a priming full lift and press. Okay, we're going to slow this one down a lot, and you can see this one pretty close, so we got some good details to look at. Notice the hollow body position, the vertical alignment. The heels are not down below the board, they're staying parallel out. I start my primes now, so I load the board, now I unload it, I load it again, and unload it. I repeat that a number of times to set the board in motion to get a rhythm. And to maintain my line, feel where that line's going to be. Muscle memory will hopefully help me stay on that line as I lift my arms and drop down and circle, reach, and push into the dive. So now I lift my arms, load the board a little bit more. I come up and we stop at the overhead position for the drop down. You can see how nicely extended up on my toes I am. My arms are over my head, good body position. And then we'll start to drop down into a nice drop down position. Legs at about 90 degrees, arms far behind, shoulders over, knees over, toes. Continue the press through and get the arms almost all the way back over the head and the knees almost all the way straight by the time the board gets to the bottom of its depression. Then I continue up. I do get straight pretty quickly thereafter. On the takeoff, you can see my body line is good. My feet are slightly in front. They could be a little further in back. The rest of that looks nice. Go up into the air. I'm fully straight. I'm not coming into my tuck yet. I'm going to come into my tuck in just a moment, but I have to establish my straight position first before coming into the tuck. Tuck position, compact, knees next to shoulders, heels next to butt, elbows in, head position in. When I kick out, I kick my legs out forcefully strong, maintaining my shape with my body, putting my arms back over to the overhead position, getting ready to drop into the water along my vertical line. Back jumps are also done in the pike position. Here we see me on the 3-meter springboard doing a back jump in the pike position, full lift and press with primes. If we were doing this on platform, it would be a much faster action than what we're doing on the springboard, but I'm more of a springboard diver than a platform diver, so that's why we're focusing on that right now. So here you see me in position, Starting my primes, up and down with the board, loading the board, unloading the board, maintaining my body line position. We've talked about that several times with other jumping actions. Getting the board in rhythm, getting my muscle memory intact, arms coming up, dropping down, circling the arms and extending the legs against the board to propel me up into the air, then coming into my pike position at the apex of the jump, back out to straight line for the entry. On-board exercises to help with back jumps. Here's an exercise to help you maintain your balance and your lines when you're doing your primes, getting ready for your back jumps. It's basically just standing in the end of the board and priming over and over and over. You see me going up on my toes and coming back down, up on my toes, coming back down, maintaining my weight over the balls of my feet, maintaining the shape within my body, not moving anything except for the ankles, all the way through the actions, up and down. I do it about 10 times. You can do it whatever number of times you like, and then you stop. Here I'm practicing the same primes, but this time I'm doing it with my arms over my head. That makes it a little bit more difficult to control and balance, but it also helps with muscle memory for where you should be extending over your head when you're starting into a drop down, or as you're extending to take off of the board into your actual jump or dive action. This same exercise can be done with the arms out to the sides in the half lift or the T position, just priming up and down. This ends up feeling a lot harder than it seems because it's really easy when you come up on your toes to open your chest and have your shoulders go back. Here I am priming and then coming up on my toes, lifting my arms, stopping and dropping back to the original position. We'll take a look at the same thing in real time here, but with the arms down at the sides while I'm priming and then lifting my arms over my head to the stopping position and then coming back down. Here we have a slowed down version of the up, drop, and stop action. We've seen this in the dry land exercises as we were prepping to get ready for just regular front jumps, but we can use it here on the board because it adds balance as well, and the fact that you're dealing with the board moving down as you're doing your action, and so you have to stay balanced while you're on a moving surface. Here's a more advanced version of the up and drop. The arms are out to the side, so I'm going to lift and drop. I'm going to lift my arms up over my head as I come up on my toes, and then drop down into the squat position, 90 degrees with the legs, chest hollow, shoulders over knees, over balls of feet. Now in real time we go on to the full lift to the drop and stop, and the priming full lift to drop and stop. All the same exercises, each one getting a little more complex by adding a little bit more of the approach into it. Here's one of my personal favorite exercises, the multiple arm lift and drop action staying on the end of the board. You can see me coming up and down on my toes and lifting my arms up and down. Jumping back onto the board exercises. Now we're looking at a series of exercises where you bounce back onto the board. First just pushing, then adding the pressing action, then the half lift and press, the T position, then the full lift and press with the arms starting down, and then priming to the full lift and press. Now I do this not very adventurously, just one bounce back onto the board and stop. There are coaches who will have you do multiple bounces on the board and even do multiple bounces on the board into back or reverse takeoff actions. Not something I'm willing to do, but it is something that is a more modern technique that some people do employ. Exercises into the water to help with back jumps. Here's a series of exercises which, like a lot of my exercises, have been taken from my coach Van Austin, or adapted and derived from stuff that he does. These are jumps touching the board on the way by. Van always said that the perfect distance from the board would be just about able to touch the board as you go by it. So I do a whole bunch of series of things, starting with just pushing, adding the press, full lift and press without primes, full lift and press with primes, all trying to touch the board on the way by. This is a great way to stay with your vertical lines and to ensure that you have safe and appropriate distance on your dives. The following series of exercises are ones I developed myself. This is what I call a lift, no press. And what's really helpful with this is you lift your arms over your head and then you have to maintain the shape during the squat down, push, and jump that you would have if you did your circling action. And oftentimes mistakes that we make are masked by the circling action. You'll move your chest back and forth, you'll drop your head up and down, you won't notice it during the arm circle. But when you isolate and just leave your arms still over your head, and you have to really focus on what your body is doing for the squat down and the push, you can isolate and start getting better at maintaining that position when you add the other variables like the circles back into it. There is one other major exercise I forgot to film that I like. based on the trampoline exercise bounce, press, double press, triple press that I shared in an earlier tutorial. In this exercise, I do a priming full lift and press back jump straight, but after I leave the board, I do as many full range of motion arm circles with straight elbows and relaxed shoulders as possible before entering the water. I find the exercise extremely helpful in developing the ability to maintain a vertical body line during the final part of the press and takeoff while moving the arms upward and backward past the body line as a part of the initiation of rotation for backward spinning dives. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on back jumps and benefit from the concepts, demonstrations, progressions, and exercises shown, and even that you may be inspired to combine some into new forms or even create wholly new ones that meet your own needs. Some combinations I have used include priming full lift and stop 3 times in a row, followed by a lift and press back jump into the water, priming lift and press back jump onto the board, followed by priming full lift and press back jump into the water, and lift and no press back jump alternating with lift and press back jump. That's it for this tutorial. Until next time, aloha and happy diving.